Yeah, but in this case, in the courts?
I don't know that it is a case. You have to ask Mr. Mallon.
Well, when it's
But
citizens
obviously, you
participation.
don't want to discuss it, so thank you for helping.
I already wrote one of these. Yeah, I know. And that's exactly what I did. We had to go to Pueblo. So when we got back, I went and got the other one out.
So I'm waiting. We got 2 steps. And then stepped out and said, "Yeah, I just so yeah. So anyway. I'm looking back to the look I have on the shirt.
Huh? Oh,
Maybe a 1?
I don't know. I haven't seen it.
I haven't either.
Yeah.
I know. Okay. I'd like to go more than that, but that's what we got. I just don't want to do lots of
The back of the corner? Yeah. That's Keith. Keith Medwin.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I guess I never realized what he was.
So we can sit down. Okay.
Yeah, I'll handle that other side.
Okay.
I guess I knew the name from the water department, but I didn't put a picture. I didn't get a picture of the
He
name.
probably don't come around too
Just
much.
think I got a Jim Beam and Coke or something, apparently this color.
What time you serving that?
Hey, this is the good stuff. Red Bull.
He wants to be up all night.
I'm such an addict to Red Bull that it doesn't keep me up.
Really?
Oh yeah. It's bad. I don't drink alcohol, I don't smoke cigarettes, I have no other, you could question as to whether I'm a food addict, because I could maybe be called a food addict, I like my food, but this is it. This is my 3rd one today. Small one, but.
Oh, I've had
Woo!
5 32-ounce teas.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I don't drink soda anymore. So everything else I drink is water. Pretty much. But yeah, I like my Red Bull. And I like to pull sugar on. Because when I drink it, like the low calorie, the sucrose or saccharin or whatever makes me upset. And I just said, I'll just take the sugar. Rather than the chemicals.
I didn't bring my water bottle tonight, so I had Gatorade down at my office, so I'm drinking Gatorade.
You're drinking Gatorade.
Instead of my water, I should be drinking.
Either tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon.
tomorrow morning, we're going to go to the scenic route. We're going to go to Canyon City.
Hey, kid.
North.
Gentlemen, this is from our facilitator that we did for the Main Street. This was her, I'll sneak in here and just get it while I'm here. This was our final report from her that we did when we met.
I got one question for you.
Can't you come in with your shirt tucked in at least?
Yeah, we're going to be somewhere around 9.
Yes, I am. And I'm leaving at 7 a.m. So. Okay. Okay, sounds good. I need to get Shannon and her copy of the budget since I stole hers. Maybe. And I have one extra, so.
Okay, that would work.
Evening, how are you doing?
Uh-huh.
How are you? Had a rough day before.
I think, I agree. I wasn't
Where's this
trying
at?
to
Is this
I didn't feel like tell the little lady or the teacher yesterday, but that's the way, and I knew it, and I just sat quiet for a really long time, and then there was a point where I couldn't be quiet anymore, so I was like, I heard it. Sorry. It's not about the $40. Now I understand that's the biggest point, but, you know, I feel like we suffer repercussions today that were made on our behalf.
I squeezed
A long
in
time
that.
ago, and I want to make sure I'm making the right decision. For my personal.
And then also I do want to make a kind of correction so you don't feel too bad. As you make a little decision
I
together.
thought you were gone. I thought you were gone.
We're not
Here I am.
putting anybody.
I still thought you were gone.
We're gonna make.
No, and I'll be here too.
It's gonna look good for all of us.
Right.
Justice for justice.
Right.
So I don't want you to
It's
feel that
just,
part.
my thing is,
Didn't you tell me that you were in New Mexico?
I understand.
Yes, I was, that day we talked.
And the responsibility, it's not just like that, I just wanna have fun and stuff like that. It's, yeah, it's just like, it's important to me that I make sure that I.
I'm not just taking it with a grain of salt. I'm
Yeah.
asking questions.
Yeah.
And I come up with a couple of things. But like I say, I do better, not pressure.
Yeah.
So.
You do, I won't start until you get back. No, you
No,
go.
go.
You go. You go. Go, Blaine. You asked, now you have to go. Yeah, I completely agree. And everybody does things a little differently. You know, and I always say it's goofy to say this, and you don't like to say that, but I'm just like, you know, I'm a shopping fanatic. And so I'm trying to find the right people. And I'm willing to haggle it and whatever I have to do. Now, my husband's not a haggler. I am. So I never settle for less than it comes around with. And so, anywho, and I have to blame myself that I didn't understand the process up to this point. That a long time ago I should have been saying absolutely not, absolutely. But I kind of wanted to see the way it was going to move and the train that was going to go, and what was going to be decided, and all these things without putting out the first thing I wanted. And really, I should have said that from the beginning. Is I'm absolutely not going to go away unless this our. And I blame myself for that I let it come this far in the process, and then I said, hold the brakes. But I have to understand.
Don't leave at the end of the meeting. I need you to look at an important
So I can
document.
basically,
Okay.
we're in agreement on.
Totally.
Burley
Yep.
and Lewis
I've got a
additions.
couple of questions to make some final decisions.
Right.
And once that's clear.
Percy
Yep.
M.
Blue, the river's
Lewis.
okay.
Yep, exactly.
Hurley M. Lewis.
Mine might just be a little bigger one.
Lewis
But
is east side of Hunter. Yeah,
I might
Percy
be
Lewis.
asking for the moon
yeah.
because I'm naive enough to think that I could actually get it.
Actually, one of his brothers was like C. something Lewis, and that was the one original surveyor. And it is Bull White. So
Empty can?
just a lot I sold over. A lot I sold over off of.
No,
Percy.
she had a daughter playing 2 games in Pueblo, and Rick could not do it. And she said,
Oh, we gotta get this thing
is it that important? And I was like, well, that's depends on the region. Tell anybody what how important. Kids are more important, so. Okay, good evening, everyone. We're gonna go ahead and call our regular city council meeting to order for June 18th, 2018. If everyone would please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance and invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us bow our heads for the invocation this evening. Lord, we are gathered here as supervision of the city of La Junta, the supervisors, citizens, each and every council member, the city manager, city attorney. We are gathered here just to ask you for one thing. We need lots of rain. Amen.
Roll call, please. Estes,
Here?
Goodwin,
Here.
McIntyre,
Present.
Prime, here, Lovato, Vila,
Here.
Eckhart.
All right, if everyone has had a chance to look over our previous minutes from the June 4th meeting, if there are any changes or corrections, please bring them forward. And if not, we will record those as is. Citizens' participation for non-agenda items, 5-minute time limit per person.
William McDonald, 706 for Tom. The city did a great job of finally dealing with my neighbor's barking dog, and there was like a relapse of this like sort of pathological behavior from the dog owners. You know, I want to use my space, and it's 45 minutes of continuous barking, and then same thing next night, and the follows is you know, I have a nice fence I built, and I've seals the sound in, so this guy's across the fence playing his rap music, and it goes up and down, and then he's like, you know, being a real pest and so forth. So subsequent to that, I realized I needed to, you know, add a layer of stucco on the top layer of the fence, and tried to do so on Monday. Contacted the actual owner of the property, who's one of the part owners of the Hancock agency, and she came over in force with 2 laborers or so, and they were pretty threatening to me. But you know, I continued doing the work on my fence, which is jogs on the property line, and so there's like a border dispute, and I've provided Mr. Klein here with the diagram, and so the city should be able to go and look at the records and make a determination, is my property a rectangle, or is there a jog in the property line, so that when my case goes to court, they have charged me with trespassing on my own property. And they continue to let their dog bark through the portals of the fence, and they threw the obstructions that I placed on my property across the fence and had the police come out and ticket me today. So obviously I'm not happy about this, but I will understand that Mr. Jackson has stated that I need to pay hundreds of dollars to get a survey done and have stakes in place. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to allow them to homestead on my property. The use is well established, that it's been there for several years. I had, the previous owner showed me where the line is. They fenced me out. I wanted to make repairs on my property 3 times. The part owner, Tammy McCann, refused me entrance to my property. And so I'm just tired of being abused by these people. I mean, when I was a child, I put away childish things. What that means is like that I'm not going to like disseminate untruths and like cast seed on willing ears to cause problems with you know, misinformation. And that's pretty much what happened. I mean, I'm due back in this room to see the magistrate on July 18, and so if the city wants to, you know, go ahead and prosecute this case, well then, you know, that's more grist for the mill, because they need to determine, or the court's going to want to know whose property it actually is. And so, I mean, the way that that's done is this an agency has plenty of funds that if they want to continue to charge rents and make fraudulent claims on my property, there are other legal redresses, and so I notified them by email that they're gonna have to, that I'm, due to like the endless hassles with these lady and gentlemen who live across the fence, that they're going to have to pay rents on the kennel space. And I've asked them to remove both the vicious dog and the encroaching fence from my property, which is, as far as I know, 32 inches line from the garage. And I've gone to great lengths to try and get Jackson over to look at it. He said he drove by it, but he wouldn't take 5 minutes to go examine it.
I'm just gonna tell you one thing, Mr. McDonald, is when I wanted to know where my property line was, I was told I had to pay a surveyor to come tell me my property line. So
Well,
it's not
that's-
just you,
I'm happy to
it's
hear that-
everybody, and
That you get the
Same
same,
thing.
Yeah,
between
everybody.
One of my neighbors and they have.
the same treatment, however, I mean, nobody comes over, and you don't regularly have police coming over to tell you that you're engaging in bad behavior with ticket books and so forth, do that?
well, and that's beside the point, what happened in my yard, but I'm just telling you that everyone has to get a
Well, I'm
survey to
asking
know
you, did
their
the
right.
police come to your house because
They
there's
have been to my house, so,
and did they cite you for anything?
well, I don't have to tell you that, but yes, I run a business out of my house, so.
Okay. Well, this is an ongoing problem that's been going on for several years, and so I gave, since you didn't want to accept the letter to council due to legal constraints, I went ahead and gave it to my council representative, because basically what I want to do is, I asked the owner of the property to sign a statement relinquishing any claims on my property and to give a date when they would remove the fence from my property, and she just completely refused to make any kind of like concessions or be businesslike in any way.
This is a civil matter. This
Okay.
isn't a city.
Thank you.
It actually is a criminal matter, because the city has gotten involved and they're sponsoring this use, this encroachment on my property, and basically what they're doing is something like homesteading it by continuing to use my property when I've asked them to stop doing it. So until somebody from the city actually takes some interest in it, other than giving me a hard time and trying to like make me out as like to demonize me, and that's what's been going on for several years. I'm tired of being demonized by the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for citizens' participation? All right, then we are going to move on to unfinished business. We have a second reading.
Madam Mayor, with your permission, could we flip-flop the two ordinances? I'd ask you to consider first the ordinance that would complete the annexation process before we rezone it. And with that, on second reading, an ordinance concerning an annexation for property belonging to the state of Colorado.
All right, do I have a motion?
Move to approve the motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? If not, if everyone would please vote.
She's still
Oh,
on.
she's still on. All right. That's how I should have done it in the first place. All right, that passes.
Thank you. And then, Madam Mayor, the second ordinance, now that property is annexed into the city, if you'd consider on second reading, excuse me, an ordinance amending ordinance number 1242, the zoning ordinance of the city of La Junta, as concerns an application for annexation by the Colorado Department of Transportation.
All right. Do I have a motion on that one?
Moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? If not, please vote. And that one also passes. Okay, on to new business, a first reading.
By way of explanation, Madam Mayor, this property that we're going to be discussing is property that is over on the east side, crossing a little to the east of Colorado East Bank and Trust. That's a property that was condemned. That is a mixed zoning use. If you go and take a look, you had commercial property and residential property. Across the street, you had commercial property. And it's been a mixed use kind of a proposition forever. And at one point, the council considered and then zoned a commercial use, but with some limitations to it. And now we, the city, have sold some vacant land, and that person that bought it is looking to develop it a little bit. And the restriction that has been placed on it is to some extent contradictory to what he's wanting to do, but not necessarily offensive to the city plan or the comprehensive plan or the zoning plan that's in place. So all this ordinance seeks to do is to kind of clean up a little, kind of a strange thing where there was this, in the zoning ordinance way back when we did this, there was a proviso in there, kind of a strange proviso, and we're eliminating the proviso now. So we're allowing for the use consistent with what this gentleman is intending to do, both in terms of development plus his existing property that is already zoned that way. So with that, Madam Mayor, if council would allow me to introduce it by title only.
So be it. Title only.
Madam Mayor, for the council's consideration on first reading, an ordinance amending ordinance 1242, the zoning ordinance in the city of Atlanta, as concerns a request by Bo White.
Is that, sorry.
You can have this over now.
My question being, the physical address again is,
Ooh,
507 East Third, isn't it?
Yeah.
it's gonna be right around there.
I don't have the ordinance, so.
I just found mine, it must have been stuck
It's
between.
right on the back.
So this was for,
I bet I've
there was
got
a
an extra
hotel
copy.
before, so it was probably a multifamily use?
No, it wasn't a hotel, it was a residential.
Oh, was it just-
And then we condemned it, and it burnt down, partially burnt down, and we condemned it and then cleared it.
Oh, it was
And
because
there's
of the
two
condemnation.
lots. There's the lot that touches the street, and then there's a bigger lot behind it. And he has the old, this'll take you back.
I know.
The old Silver State Motel.
Okay.
Only, gotta be an old timer to know that one. That he has made into storage units, and it's sort of an expansion to the east.
Oh, no.
Yeah, 1594.
Silver State Motel,
Oh, yeah,
you
I got a
remember
picture
that?
of it, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that means that you're over 60 if you know that.
Oh, yeah. Where's the cactus? Where was the cactus court?
I don't know, okay, further east,
Okay, they're behind there.
There you
by the
go.
Capri.
By the Capri.
Okay, so I would entertain a motion by title only.
I think you said it, didn't you?
No, motion.
Oh, did you motion,
make-
Jean?
and I'll make a
Okay, I
second.
apologize, I didn't hear that.
I don't think it did.
Is
Did
that
you make a second on that?
1591, this according?
Yeah.
Okay. So if
Ed,
it's-
were you the one that made the second, or are we
Yeah.
still waiting on
I
this?
second
So
it.
we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion or questions? If not, please vote. And that passes. Next, we're looking at something from the Colorado Leadership Journey. Rick Fox.
Yes, okay, Pam Dennehy has been, selected, as, and it was actually Kathy Riddick, the head of, Colorado Tourism Organization, wanted her to apply for the Tourism Leadership Journey, and, she helped, develop the program. Rick Wallner went through it, last year, and, so at Tourism Board, we voted to give $2,500 for her to do the program. She does get her lodging and travel picked up, $2,500, plus she goes to 5 experimental learning opportunities, the Governor's Tourism Conference, the Colorado Springs conference in February, and one in April, in Salida and one in Denver in August. And I'm so proud of her. You know, when we did Rural Philanthropy Days this last week, she was one of the people that helped put it on and stuff. And I've watched Pam grow from this young gal that is recognized throughout the state on the Colorado Tourism Office's board, but also Canyons and Plains. And she's been making a difference, and she has her name out there everywhere you go. If you hear, you know, La Junta, she's been putting it out there. She's sitting at the same table when they make the decisions where they go for their funding, and they've hit over $1 million, I think, for funding now. And this will help her on her journey to help us, you know, change our big town.
Very good. Thank you, Rick.
So if you approve the 2,500.
Discussion.
What funds do that come out of?
Tourism.
The tourism board?
Right, and it was a recommendation from tourism. All right.
I'll make a motion that we go for the $2,500 to help Pam and get her there and help her out. She helps us, let's support her.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Discussion, questions?
Well, yeah, I just wanted to make sure those funds come out of tourism.
Yes, sir. They sure did.
Be nice to have a summary after the, you know, some of the things, maybe a
Mhm.
quarterly summary or something possibly.
Once she does them.
Like this, something like this.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Or just in person,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's always good.
you know.
Okay, motion and a second. Any other discussion? Otherwise, I'd ask you to vote, please. And that passes. We have another first reading.
Madam Mayor, by way of explanation, this has been an on-again, off-again thing about a year and a half ago. We got real hot on this. This was the loan to be able to fund the new addition to the sewage plant. Because of a whole bunch of reasons, the loan was postponed, not by our doing, but by lenders and so forth. Now, all of a sudden, we're back in the middle of things, and they're trying to get this thing pressed through. We've gotten approval from all of the people that need to have it done. So now, with this ordinance, you will be authorizing the enterprise to borrow the money to get this thing accomplished. Not really a big matter in the context of what needs to be done, but it's a signal that we're finally going to get to the end of this thing. Please notice in the caption, which I'll read in a minute, that's a $3 million, no interest, principal only payback loan. Wish I could get that kind of deal. So we're excited about it. Kudos to Mr. Seba and Mr. Klein's staff for pulling this together. Certainly would be encouraging you to consider it and favorably approve it on first reading if you allow me to introduce it by title only.
Introduce it with title only.
Is this $3 million more or what we've already allotted for?
That's the gross, that's the total.
Right, yeah. We were $3 million short last year, if you remember, and Joe was going for additional funding because we knew we were going to be short. Because by the time when the engineer's estimate came out, got the bids, and PW, Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment, got through giving us a permit. It added some stuff on that ended up costing more money. And I know that we've had some cost savings, from mults and stuff, but we had to go for this to finish off the project.
But didn't we approve with like a $2.5 million deal already? Is this an additional or is that
No,
redoing
this
that
is
same money?
This is the 2.5. It's 3.
Okay.
Is what we got. Yes.
Same.
Thank you.
Same money,
That's
okay.
actually pretty good that you remember the 2.5 because that's what it was.
Thank you, Jim, I remembered too. Hey, does this money come as needed, so we don't necessarily have to use the $3 million?
Yeah, they're not, by law, we can't take more than we need. So it's a draw, and we couldn't take this money and use it for other things or invest the money. So it's like a draw note. You you present evidence or invoices, they get paid.
Because ultimately, that's gonna come out of the utility payers, right?
Well, it is. That was part of the rate increase we did.
They'll have to pay it back, yeah.
Oh, it's already in the, we're already
Yes.
paying on it?
Yes,
Yes.
for a couple of years already.
So we may
Oh,
have
we
the
just
monies,
passed it last year.
we may be starting to accrue monies to pay it back. But in terms of what we can take from the bank, we have to present invoices and then they will loan us the money on it. We can't over borrow.
So if they're already 35% completed on the project,
Something now.
It's
40.
closer to 50%, but it's not paid for.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
No, we haven't paid for it.
So why are we drawing on it? We don't even know what our end cost is gonna be yet.
Well, we gotta pay for it to develop the end cost, but I don't know how to answer the question other than this is the funding source, the bank, where we would get the money to be able to pay for what's being done there. We've incurred some cost and expenses, which we've already paid for ourselves. But in the context of the big dollars and cents, we're gonna have to borrow to get that completed. And this is where that money's gonna come from. We may not borrow the full 3. We may only borrow 2.8, or some number short of that. We can't borrow more than 3. I don't know how else to answer it, other than,
Once we
Didn't
run
that
out
come
of
through
water-
DOLA?
No, that Colorado Water and Power
Oh.
Development
Yeah.
Authority, yeah. Same ones we did our water plant and stuff.
But
See,
we've already set in the increase to pay for it, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
The 3 million?
It says up to and not to exceed 3
Yeah.
in this.
But if we increase it $4 for that specifically, and then it turns out it was only $250 that we needed, so do we cut it back or?
Meaning what we're charging the ratepayers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, we could.
You're saying if we raised it.
Because we don't want to charge them full if we're not going to use it all.
right, but we being the utility board has jurisdiction over what rates, so it would start there.
We can overrule them though, right?
Well, we can approve the rates they've decided within the context of the general budget. I'd hate to ever have it said we're overruling them. I can smell the tar burning now.
Okay, so you were gonna read that by title only, sir?
Yes, sir.
As long as I don't see the feathers, we're good to go.
Okay. Madam Mayor, for the council's consideration on first reading, Colorado Water Resources Power Development Authority of the City of La Junta acting by and through its wastewater enterprise in the maximum aggregate principal amount of not to exceed $3 million for the purpose of paying the costs of certain wastewater facilities, authorizing the form and execution of the loan agreement and the governmental agency bond to evidence such loan, delegating to certain authorized officers the authority to determine within certain parameters certain financial matters pertaining to the loan, authorizing the execution and delivery of documents related thereto, and prescribing other details in connection therewith.
I want to make a motion that we accept the first reading on this revision for this loan, loan that the city's needed at value of $3 million.
Motion and a second. Anybody with any other questions or discussion?
Took a breath. Yeah.
If not, please vote. And that passes.
5, please.
All right, next on our agenda under D, and this goes into effect on, we've all talked about this, the change in the capital line item from building the speculation building to building purchase. And so I would entertain a motion for that.
What's a speculation building?
Well, it's our spec building. Remember out at the
Yeah,
industrial
remember
park
we put
that we
it in,
agreed
like,
that we weren't gonna
335.
do that and we were gonna
Oh,
purchase
yeah.
instead. Okay.
I make a motion that we approve the capital line item change for the spec building out at the industrial park. This is where it's going, right? Yeah.
Yes.
I make a motion we approve that.
Okay, motion,
Second.
second, motion and a couple of seconds. Any other questions or discussion? And if not, please vote.
I never heard it called that.
And that passes. And on to E, a level 1 fire ban.
All right, Aaron. You always gotta get the guy that knows.
Experts.
Expert comes up to the.
Evening.
Thank you.
I'm sure Mr. Klein already had presented to you and let you know that I had recommended to him for the council to enact stage 1 fire restrictions based upon our current conditions. We're the only county in southeast Colorado that didn't have any fire restrictions until today. This afternoon, the Board of County Commissioners enacted stage 2 in the county. I'm recommending stage 1 for the city of La Junta. About the only differences in the 2 stages are going to be charcoal grills and spark arresters on motorized vehicles that don't really affect us as much. So under stage 1, it would still allow for residential homes to still utilize charcoal grills. If they have constructed fire pits, like what you purchase at Walmart or places like that, those are still allowed under stage 1. So I feel confident stage 1 is appropriate for the city of La Junta within the city limits. We also are monitoring on a daily basis as far as the community fireworks show. That is allowable under stage 1 and stage 2 if they're properly permitted. The city of Rocky Ford is doing the same right now too. They're evaluating daily. Chief Gonzalez advised me this afternoon that it is presented to their council too, and is expected the city of Rocky Ford will also be entering. Probably stage 2 be consistent with the county. So I'd like to present that this evening for consideration.
Aaron, excuse me. Does that include like a ban on fireworks within city limits?
It does. Under stage 1 and stage 2, fireworks is one of the things that prohibits the sales or use.
Oh, okay, I wondered about the sales part of
Yes.
it.
Since I
So
don't
people
see
can't
Patty-
come in and set up the fireworks stands?
Right.
Correct.
Okay.
And we'll need to get this in the paper since we don't see Patty
Yeah,
here.
she must not be back from her vacation, and I think it bears repeating,
Yes.
as much as we can repeat it, that that does include fireworks.
It does, and I suppose Deb would probably be doing it in the absence of Melanie. In the city ordinance 1516, it does state that is to take place. It's to be published as it was in the original adoption of the ordinance, so it does require publication in the newspaper.
If there's a copy of the publication, I can post one, or we should probably have it at the library or any public places.
Would be a
possibly.
great idea.
I missed it, Aaron, so I apologize for, this is going to be a repeat question. I apologize for it because I really didn't catch it. Difference between stage 1 and stage 2?
The biggest differences for us is stage 2 prohibits the use of charcoal grills and also the campfires within constructed fire grates, and also puts in spark arresters for motorized vehicles, and also welding. Welding is another one. Any outdoor welding, there's restrictions on that.
Okay, thank you, sir. I'm sorry for the repeat
No
on the
problem.
question.
All right, I would entertain
Sounds
a
good to
motion.
me.
Okay, so Dean, should we do a motion and vote?
Yes, sir.
I make a motion myself, I'll do it again, my mouth's going anyway. I make a motion, we go for the level 1 fire ban within the city limits of La Junta.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other questions of Aaron or discussion?
Does that include the backyard fireworks?
All
Yes.
fireworks.
All fireworks.
No fireworks.
The only
None for-
fireworks
none
that
for
can be
La-
allowed under stage 1 or stage 2.
Okay.
I don't think you have this in front of you, but it is permittable as an exemption under section 10 that commercial or community firework displays that are properly permitted can still occur. But all residential consumer products for no sales, no use.
I just want to make sure. I figured that's what it was. Thank you.
Aaron, I know that takes a lot of time and effort in that, so thank you for you guys
Yes.
getting together on that and working on that. it's something that the city needed, so thank
And
you.
keep us updated if we need to go to level 2, then that's where we'll go.
I definitely will let Mr. Klein know if anything changes.
Okay, and I just have to say that I 100% think it's probably the right idea because, and I think it just needs to be clear to the community and we need to make sure the word's out there that this is
And
going
if
to be the
if they do
rule.
the community thing out there, they've got the equipment and everything right there to take care of
Yes.
it. In town, you can't, so, good luck.
Well, and I think good job for putting out the fire where the businesses and such were in Walmart area the other day.
Yeah.
That could have really impacted,
It was definitely a collaborative effort of multiple departments deploying quickly. We had a total of 38 personnel from 6 different departments that responded to that within a matter of minutes.
You guys did great,
You
because
sure
it was
did a great
windy
job.
that day. I was really
Yeah.
surprised. Gary, can we vote first, and then if you have a question, or do you want to ask it before we vote?
However you want to do it.
Okay, let's go ahead and vote on that one, just so we get that.
Do it too.
And it passes, and then go ahead, Gary.
Is stage 2, stage 1 in the county and the city the same? And the county can't sell or use them either?
Correct, correct.
So that's a uniform standard in the state?
Yes.
So
Not in
county-
state law.
Okay, thank you.
Did you say, ask if it was in state law?
city.
No, city.
No, I-
City, county, yeah, it's
I
not
just
state.
asked if it was the same, stage 1, stage 2 meant the same thing in the county as.
In relation to fireworks, yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
If they were caught for lighting off fireworks, there's a high fine for those, isn't there? Hefty
There is,
fine?
it's a petty offense within the municipal code.
$100 fine, it was. Yeah, $100.
I'm not sure they know that.
Like $100 or something like that, they're saying.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, Todd's not here, but it is within the ordinance. It's a petty offense. Each violation is a separate.
And Todd has asked the district attorney to get involved. They've asked me to give them an opinion on some things, to, I think, probably direct the more egregious offenders through county court where the penalties are more substantial, and there's other opportunities for penalty that don't exist in our municipal court. So that's an extra step that he's undertaking just this year, given the dry nature of the environment. And I think there is an opportunity under the ordinance, if it was truly an emergency, that the fire chief has the authority and through the city manager to do some things on an emergency basis without your action. So if things got really out of control in terms of dryness and so forth, they could lift the fire restrictions without your action, or not lift it, increase it without your action.
Sounds okay?
I think some of the stuff Todd's looking at, with that through the district attorney's office, has to do a lot with the mortars that you see, the aerial devices and stuff that has a report, because those are against state statute.
And I was thinking about, ways of getting it out to the community, and it would be clearly too short of notice now, but I think in the future, we might have to look at things like putting a notice in utility bills and to make sure that it's reaching every household, so that people understand, what the rules are. I think that's a good
Well, and
idea, but I don't know.
it's
Sometimes
just
we're
so
on short
critical
notice.
because, it can take somebody's house out. It can take
Take a whole row of
a
houses.
section of
It
homes
can happen quick.
and fast, yeah.
Thank you so much,
All right,
Eric.
appreciate it, thank you.
Thanks, Aaron.
All right, we are on to committee and board reports. Committee and board reports.
Thank you, Mayor. Senior Center Board, having a dinner theater at Manitou Springs, costs $50 total. You get a dinner, choice of 3 meals. You get the bus trip up there and the bus trip back. It's an evening performance and it's supposed to be pretty good. I forgot the title of the play that it's going to be, but
What's the date?
the date is August, I
August
believe.
something, yeah, August, my mom's gonna go, so, yeah.
And we've also got a Cripple Creek trip lined up. I think that's next month in July. Called down to Senior Center because they might run a couple. I don't know. Also, the Senior Center's got the trip to Maine. That's still on for October. And the price has not yet been determined because we might have an overnight stay in Denver because the air flight leaves at 6:30 in the morning. And that's
For
not,
breakfast, wow.
and Dean's just barely getting to bed at that time, so. So the cost of that, but the regular cost from Denver to Maine and back, 5-day trip, it's a little over $1,000 per
That might be
person.
getting about sold out.
Yeah, I think it is. Okay, and they also put up a new version of their bylaws. I'm not sure if it's gone through Brad's desk yet, but that should be coming up. I don't think it goes to council, it just goes to you, right?
Yeah.
So they've changed their bylaws, and that's about all they have going right now. Plenty busy.
Any other committee or board reports, Elaine?
Just wanted to make notice of a constituent who came to me and said that there was a big pothole, and it's been there for quite some time, at 605 Santa Fe area, right on the corner there. There had been some repair to the street at one time, and
Yeah, we came up 6th Street. That was one
he
of the
was
first
saying that
ones.
it's a pothole somewhere in that area, and it's pretty big. Or it's continuing to get larger. 605 Santa Fe. In that vicinity there.
Yeah, okay, one on my list. That was taken care of.
Any
That's
other
it.
committee or board reports? All right, gonna move on to city manager comments.
All right, great. Okay. We're installing more meters, electric meters. We got 100% of the residential done except for apartments, and they're starting to work on some of those. The crews are tree trimming on the east side of La Junta. Of course, trees ain't growing, grass ain't growing like that. Last year to date, we had 42 fire calls, with 18 of them being weed calls, right? This year to date, 93, 60 of them weeds. That shows you what a dry year can do to you. When they had that fire over on Crooked Arroyo, I was so scared that that would jump out of there, and if it caught that top landing as dry as it was, it had raced all the way into the cemetery.
Uh-huh.
It just, the wind was blowing that bad, and it was moving that fast. We had 2 of our firemen go volunteer staff get on the honor guard, and that was Isaiah and Steve. Right, what's Steve's last name?
Elwood.
Elwood, yes. So, and Isaiah's? Elijah. Elijah what? Morgan. Moorhead? Morgan. Gotcha. Thanks. Wickham, if you haven't been down to Wickham, go check that out, man. We took out all those dead trees and stuff, really made it look a lot different. Now, once, this next year, we'll start planting some colored trees along there, get away from the elm look, try to get some trees that give us some color around here, especially during that fall. We've cleaned 1418 Rice. I got to say thank you to Mr. Maloff for helping out that family clear their estate. 1501 Edison, we have that lot cleared. Now 1501 Edison and 1119 Smithland. Darren's been working with EPA to get funds for it, and he was informed that the EPA and Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment was going to work together to help us come up with funds to get those 2 burnt out structures out of our community, and we're working on other sources for the others. Airport, we took out one of the storage buildings of those World War II ones. They weren't supposed to last over 10 years, and even back when I was city engineer, we were going to tear that building down. Then somebody wanted it, and we showed it up a little bit, but the wood's rotten, so it was going to be a hazard for anybody just going in there. Snow load would have took it out, so we just went ahead and let it go. So, and that made that area actually look a lot better. And Darren's working with companies to start replacing some of our street signs. And when you see them, as you go down highways now, and you can see those reflectors forever, that's that high intensity, and that's the new standard. So I know I ran into them a couple weeks ago when I was traveling on 160, and I thought it was people standing along with like flashlights. It looks so bright. Yeah. So the golf course, you know, it's looking good. I went out there by there this weekend, and Bill's, you did a good job, you know, especially with the heat. The heat and wind's just killing us. We had 473 kids sign up for the summer reading program, and that's the biggest one yet. And we will continue on film potholes every Thursday. Are they still doing it?
Yes,
Every
sir.
Thursday? Yep. Until we get caught up. And if you haven't been down Belmont from 5th to 6th, check that out. Because Justin's Paving did his, where we paved half of the street. For, you know how the asphalt's been separating from the curbs? Okay, and council wanted us to get a program where we started correcting those a couple years ago. So we started with Hayes, and we're just working one block and a half at a time. And so now we just worked our next one. But Belmont was a sad street, and it was a heavily traveled street, right? Now we'll start going over to Barnes and seeing what we could do to make it better too. So little by little, but you know, that asphalt right there, that was 40,000 over 150,000. So,
Yeah, Southeast Colorado Mental Health Group,
yes,
what, they got 120 employees over there traveling both roads.
both roads, and then got the school
And
district.
they
and everything.
appreciate that now from 5th Street to 10th.
Yes,
Smooth roads.
smooth road. You know, now we gotta get Barnes back into shape. Yeah. So with that, I'm open to questions.
What about?
Oh, wait a minute, rural philanthropy. I would be amiss if I didn't tell you. That lady right there, you know, I used to have to go to rural philanthropy, you know, used to do a presentation, then go chase down funders, get to know them, then try to get money out of them. And it wasn't very successful, let me tell you. I saw her give a speech. I had people tapping on me saying, how did you get Cynthia Nee? And we want to be a part of La Junta. And it wasn't one, it was Colorado Health Foundation. I've been working that guy 5 years. And do you think he ever gave me money? No. But now he wants to be a part of everything. So we love these people, and we love Cynthia. And she made over $2 million worth of requests.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, thank you, Cynthia. Between her and Pam, we got
And
a
Pam.
power duo.
Pam was, yes.
Representing us.
Everybody was, Lamar was on them, say Lamar, but boy, I mean, we got a lot of, hey, boy, look at La Junta and Trinidad.
Yeah.
And before they'd all been saying, hey, look at Trinidad.
Yeah,
So,
we don't mind being here too.
Captain, yeah. So,
What about, that apartment building, the Aragon down there, Second and Carson?
Second in Carson, I can't remember the name of the company that you're dealing with, but they're gonna come down and take the brick off of it.
It does the break for Centennial.
Yeah, and they're gonna take all the brick, and that way we can get it lowered down, and then get to the asbestos. So we can see how much that's gonna cost us, and there shouldn't be that much, it's just too dangerous to get to the area.
When do you think they'll do trees on that property?
We'll get them out next week.
Next week.
Next week?
That's
Okay.
gonna make, I mean, that's gonna
Yeah,
show a lot of
that
progress
is.
in that way, so, good, thank you.
Yeah, if one falls into the building, I hate to see it.
Any other questions for Rick? All right, city attorney comments.
I always, once a week I say to Rick, Rick, you can't believe the things I hear. People call me and tell me things, and I don't think he ever believes me that people really call and tell me things, but they do. Last week I got a call about Paula, his secretary, bragging her up, and what a nice, pleasant addition, and really a people person. And so while we're talking about nice people and so forth, this citizen felt it important enough to call me and tell me. I'm glad to take that call. I usually get other kinds of calls. But that was a nice thing and
Thank you.
good hire there. The other thing is,
Yay, Colorado.
May I add that I heard a lot of things about her too, that she's very professional.
She's very good.
the other thing, since it's a public meeting and this information is bound to get out, I'd like to thank the 84 people who were kind enough to send me anonymous Father's Day cards yesterday. I appreciate that. Think about it. And,
Yeah.
and other than that, it's always a privilege to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, on to governing body comments. Go ahead. No, you go first. I have a list of things, so you go first.
Oh, that's all I was.
You want to do the audit?
Yeah.
Go ahead. You do that.
Okay. I want to put on the record that Hancock and Froese were here for the city audit for 2017, just to make it official, that it was presented starting at 5 o'clock, and they just made it in time to us to get a little break before our meeting. So that for the record.
Yes. And it went good. It went really good. Our numbers got better. You know, when we thought that we were going to spend just about 1.4 million, it was 389 million or thousand instead. So we came under what we thought when we passed that budget by $1 million.
That's a tightening of the belt. Yeah,
That's tightening the belt. And it's good to the people out there.
Very good. Yeah.
I have one comment. Administration, supervisors, whatever you want to call them, lead by example. And I have watched supervisors upon supervisors from the city out doing different projects, whether it be the water department, the sewer department, the power plant. Every one of the supervisors we have has done a fantastic job, and they lead by example. And I want to throw this one out for Mr. Darren. He was over there by the north end of town, over there by the gas station, and he was out there shoveling in weeds himself instead of having some of these kids that we have, such like that. Darren was out there the other day and knocking down weeds and making it look good over there. And I want to say thank you, Darren. You do a fantastic job, and you don't push it on other people. You take part of the job as your own responsibility, and I want to say thank you for that. And Aaron over there, his firefighters. You know, I'm over here at Associated Charities almost every day except for this last week or so, and those guys, I mean, it's just like a sewing machine. Boom, 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 in and out all the time, whether it be an ambulance or fire truck. And then you look at the police department when there's a call. Those guys are zipping, zapping in every which way. I mean, we've got one of the best community-involved, complete departments, no matter what it is, that support this town. And I want to make sure they're acknowledged as much as we can. Him, that's another story.
All the supervisors.
Mayor, I forgot one thing. On the Lahana Cares project, helping people out, clean their yards and so forth, those that are worthy of it, we've done 9 this year so far.
Wow.
Over 60 properties since I begun.
That is so awesome. I wish Frank was still here so we could tell him. Thank you for your participation.
One thing, I got the opportunity this weekend to golf in the Lahana Kashari's golf tournament that they host for the foundation. And it was a cooler Saturday other than the wind, but the golf course was in tip-top shape. And I just wanted to say it was nice that the Kasharis have brought that tournament back to Lahunta.
Yes.
I did tell Bill to hand out snakes so they could do the rain dance, but they were on the
But Bill does a good job overseeing all that stuff. It's not just those guys, it's Bill, it's everybody.
And also, my daughter is getting ready to have the summer musical coming up with the Picket Wire Center, and they're having their 50th anniversary big gala that's coming up as well. So that's another good community event to be able to attend.
July 19th and 20th.
Yes.
Travis Masser will be back cooking. I was there for that last meal he did.
Special. Yes.
Yes.
But yeah, we do have a lot of great things here in Lahana.
What dates is it? July what? 12th and,
It's hard to leave town
what
anymore.
did you say, 12th and 13th?
No, I was thinking, that it was,
It's actually
October
gonna
the
be
19th,
the
or
12th through-
July the 19th and 20th. isn't
No,
it?
July
it's the
12th
12th.
through 14th is the gala
Yeah.
and
Oh.
retrospective, and then the opening night for My Fair Lady is on the 14th, and the following weekend, 19th through 21st,
Is the play, right?
is the play, yes.
But on the 13th is the retrospective play.
Yes,
That'll be
and
great.
the gala dinner that Travis Macer will be coming down to host will be on the 12th. So hopefully
It's a
that
Friday, right?
Well attended. Thursday.
Thursday?
Starts with Thursday and retrospective Friday. And opening night of the My Fair Lady.
We got our tickets, we're ready.
Yeah,
Very good, very good.
thank you.
And then I just had a couple of things, unless someone else has anything else, I'll wait. First one is I handed everyone out a little packet. I want to say thank you for everyone who showed up for our facilitation with the Main Street group. And there was a ton of great input, and for everyone who doesn't know this, we spent several hours with them putting on paper what the council's priorities through Main Street would be, because they will help us with funding and technical support and all kinds of great things, but they need to know where our head is as far as Lahana goes. And so all of council got together, everyone came to the meeting, which was awesome, and we put it down on paper, and we were all given a report to look this over. So if you guys have any questions, I know I just gave it to you tonight, but I thought it was great that she got this for us so we could see. They're really on board with us. We've had something just about every week, but come to find out their year end is June 30th, and that's why, because we came in at a later date, we are cramming everything into about a month and a half, because I thought, boy, if we have this schedule the rest of the time, this is going to be crazy. But turns out we're getting everything taken care of and facilitated before June 30th when the year end comes. And then that will help us to know what types of grants we need to go after and what our progress is going to be. And I am so happy to say that all of council is on board and a part of this process and has a great word in on it. And so we are in a really great place as a council to revitalize our downtown and to move forward with we're going to be working with entrepreneurs, we're going to be activating second floor apartments, we're going to be doing all kinds of stuff down there. So we needed to get some of this paperwork and some of the building blocks out of the way. I always say thank you to Lynn Horner. I always tell him, you built the foundation so I could build the house. That's awesome, because I'd much rather build the house than the foundation. And so he did all this work for the last 4 years to make sure that we could start off running when we got to this point. And we did, and we're running, and so we're doing great. So there's the report for you guys if you want to see that. All of us that are sitting here, and a couple that are, or at least one that's not, are all heading to the Colorado Municipal League tomorrow. We will be up there for 3 days full of informational meetings, technical support, lots of great stuff. And I know I was going to put out a challenge to my council, because I know when I go out when I go up to these meetings, no matter how many times I've been there, I get re-energized, I get fresh perspective about other communities and what they're doing. I get tons of great ideas, what works and what doesn't work. And also, I hear something that I've never heard before. Even if I've been on council or I've been at a CML, I hear something new and different that inspires me. So I'm going to put out a challenge to all my council members to listen for that thing that inspires you, that's new or different, or that you think is awesome that another community is doing. And when we meet back here in July, I'd like for everybody to just, and this isn't a requirement, but if you think, while you're sitting in those meetings, if you hear something that it just like, wow, you know, because I know I do every day I'm there, bring it back and tell us about it. Because I may not have heard that, and I'd love to hear what all of you guys hear in those meetings also. So everybody have a safe trip up there and an enjoyable time. And with that, this is going to be just a little bit on short notice, but we are going to, council is going to be moving into executive session for the discussion of a matter required to be kept confidential by the federal or state law, rule, or regulation as allowed under CRS 24-6-402. And on the event that we have to vote on anything, we will come back into council when we are finished. And at that,
I will need a vote then.
okay. You wanna,
I'll make
so,
a motion to
okay.
go into executive session.
Okay.
And the time being, 8 o'clock.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. If everyone would please vote. And that passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you all for coming.